I'm clear and I'm gonna be perfectly fucking dear to nobody because I'm single. Actually, I mean, I joke about it, but it was kind of so. It's not that funny because my wife left me in the year '07. It was a hard time for me and the kids still blame me for it today. They won't speak to me. They legally fine to hang out with me 3 times a year. It's actually the hanging out I do with anyone anymore. Um, but no, I mean it's a good time, good coffee. I mean I don't blame them for not hearing me. It was a different time back then. I know it's not okay now, but it was different. You could hit your wife from time to time, and most of the time. Granted, I was in the wokest state that was at the time, Ontario. They was actually had a little record in the newspaper. I was very proud of it. So when um when my dad went to the newspaper and wrote that I was beating my wife, it didn't go down too um but I mean I mean it was a hard time. The business wasn't going well. I mean it was pretty risky financial venture. It was hookers selling burgers at baseball games. Um, so I mean, I could have made wiser financial decisions, I guess. But I mean, all in all, it wasn't even the hookers that got me in trouble. It was the moths. It was the moths. They loved my burger. Everyone else hated them. The moths loved them. So for a bit, I opened up a moth repellent store because I had to learn so much about maths. I could help them. And never once in the 27 years of running that moth repellent business did it cross my mind to open up a moth attraction business because I had a burger farm that attracted just just thousands of moths. It was scary actually. Like you'd wake up and if you'd eaten the moth, they'd be like leaning at your lips to get into your stomach to eat the burger that I made. Well, the hookers made them. To be fair, it wasn't my farm. I only on a technicality. I made the. There was this lovely hooker. Her name was Jean. She loved cooking. She was a hooker as a sidekick, more of a hobby. Um, she's a lovely woman. Um, and she's the one that made it. I mean, she worked for me at the time, so I get the idea of that burger formula that attracts just millions of mouths. It's we had to get an industrial grade bug zapper that to kill all these moths. You'd wake up and you'd have to. We had a broom in the kitchen just for moths. It was quite something. Never seen anything like it before in my life. Not even that. So a long story here. I know um, when my wife before she divorced me from my twin Jack. He's a nice guy. I don't talk that much to him anymore. Largely, I think that my wife doesn't want to think about me after I let them feed her wardrobe. But no, my wife, she's my ex-wife. She was a lovely person, to be honest. She loved to crochet. She crocheted all her clothes, or every single one of them. It's one of her life passions. She detested the industry. She wanted to live a life wearing things that could stand up. Which so admirable. But when she was little, she always used to tell me a story. When she was little, she she was an orphan. Both both her parents died when she was young. 6, I believe. Um, Horrible car crash. And they had those back in the 1800s. But she lived with her grandmother, and she always used to sit by this lake, this pond outside her grandma's little cottage, and she found a berry and a fish. They loved this berry. They'd fiend for it. They'd fight found just up the hill was really quite something. She and she described how as soon as the fish smelled these berries, I still don't know how they smell, but they would all come running to the side of the water to get these berries. And I thought they were anything special, maybe some special pollinated bees or something must have been in. But these fish, they loved the berries, and she couldn't figure out what it was. But eventually, over time, she kept on bringing these berries to these fish. And one day, it was quite a miracle. She wasn't liked a lot at school. Her parents being off and made her quite an easy target for bullying. She was really such a straw for putting up with all that, making it through all that. But one of the boys that bullied her, one of her bullies at school, fell into this pond where all these fish lived when he was bullying her, Joe. And the fish, they devoured him. They could tell that she didn't like him. They could sense the fear. And they ate like they never had done before. They feed it for him as much as the berries. She described it as something really quite remarkable. And I guess that's part of the reason why I left all those moths into her wardrobe. Because I mean, she was aware of the risks. She's a smart woman. She knew that things like moths would be the end of her her entire life's work. So she made sure that she got a proper wardrobe. She made sure that she got a sealed one, the one with a lock on it. She always made sure to shut it. One day when we were staying late at work, I got home and I was like, I wonder if I could become the god of these moths. I wonder if I could set these moths on my enemies. So I opened up her wardrobe. I unlocked it. My native bird actually. It's really rather sweet. And I let the moths in. And to be fair, I did think about the taste. I should have given them maybe some smaller pieces of socks, some undergarments, and stockings, so that they could learn that it was meat. And if they're fair, they love the clothes, but it only lasted about 30 minutes. And then she came home, and then the screaming again. That was the worst part. Because the moths, the one thing that they love nearly as much as my burgers is, well, I love this burger, is that they love loud noises, which really was awkward because we had these bug zapper in the kitchen to try and deal with the moths at first, and they loved it. They'd send their brothers in to get zapped so that they could hear that loud zap. It was devilish. I was scared for myself and for Joanne's life at some point, because it felt like you'd be lighter from the amount of moths that would tug at you to jump you, to drag you into that lamp. It was proper scary. But thankfully, only one or two hookers got badly burned, and I immediately drove them to the hospital. Not a bad employer. Gonna treat my employees right. That's why I'm paying. They get good dental. They get good updates. Whatever the fuck that eye doctor's called, I hate it. She's a bitch. But yeah, so my wife came home and the screaming began. And she started yelling, and all the moths, they went for her. And I think at that point, I felt like my wife did. And that little boy, Ryan, fell into the pond. I was their god. They worshipped me. I don't think it was common, because they did try to eat me after she ran out the room screaming. Um, to be fair, it was her first time even knowing about it, because I never told her that my burger business was failing because of all the moths. Well, it's only half the reason it failed. Um, but yeah, it's they went for her. it was scary, cannibalistic. I have never seen something like it in my life. But it, she definitely happened again. She went to Jake's room. She went to his apartment. He lives down the street from us. Well, lived down the street from us. And she was sobbing about her clothes, her life's work. And she was uncontrollable there. And, yeah, she's had talked to me since, really. But what I know, because my best friend, Kate, she's friends with Jack. Um, and she detested me with all her guts. I had explained what had happened when she was screaming, that I let the bastard on purpose, and feeling for God. And, apparently, right, so, I don't think I'm necessarily in the wrong for this, she never told me, but apparently she has a lot of unprocessed trauma with Timmy's death. And what I did reminded her, kicked up all those memories, and made her feel more guilty. Which, I mean, it's fair enough. Come on, get over it. It's happened like 18 years ago now. It just doesn't make sense to me, I guess. But yeah, so she went to his Jake's room. She cried. Jake consoled her. It was a lovely story, lovely romantic start. And it was love at first crying out of his shoulders, I guess. I didn't really like him, I was mainly the mom, if I'm being honest. It was, you know, quite a thing, because she was the one that got me in touch with all those hookers. So, after Timmy died, her grandmother took the blame for the whole thing. And, she went to jail, because legally it was her fault. And this is part of the reason why the trauma was so bad, I imagine. But her grandma went to jail for life. She killed a kid effectively. Poor Ryan. Um, and she had she had um she had to make ends meet. She technically, so this is the bizarre thing. Her technically was never listed as an orphan, because the car that killed her parents in the car crash was didn't have its license renewed at the time. It was a drunk driver. His name was Jack, and he was underage too. Didn't have his license. Was coming back from a party, Jack, and he didn't have his license plate renewed. And when when his uh when his car crashed into hers, um, she was I think 15. No, kind of much younger, and she she didn't want it to be her problem. She was still in denial. My parents are alive, so she lied to the police. And the police, legally, they couldn't do anything about it, because the car, it didn't exist. They couldn't find his license plate. So her parents were never declared dead. And she was never listed as an orphan. So she had to make ends meet by herself after her grandma got put into prison, and she became a stripper. It was apparently a really nice community. So I hear. Um, she met a lot of nice people. She met Joanne. Um, and it was a really lovely experience for her, apparently. Then she met me. That was the reason she wanted to make her whole clothes. Um, she wanted to, yeah, go out in her own model of lingerie. She also says I pronounced lingerie wrong, but I mean, what does she know? So, like, she's a hooker anymore. Yeah. But yeah, so, um, it made sense to me. Since I was little, I've always dreamed up of opening a burger business. Specifically with the hookers, that was a big part of it. Um, Cause so when I was around 10, my pa gave me a book, and it was about the social economic figure and representation of stature in the current economy. Now, little did I know that this book was 20 years out of date, and how it suggested that I should employ an all stripper cast of employees was actually a bad idea. But I didn't know this when I was 10. It was my dream to open a stripper burger chain. Now, I only ever got two restaurants open, one in Boston and one in Michigan. I did try for another one in Timbuktu. That was a place, but I never caught on there apparently. Um, they don't have the same type of maths apparently, which was a weirdly big part of my thing. But yeah, so since I was little, I always wanted to open this burger chain. And when I met her, she was looking for enough time to make all her clothes. I was looking for enough connections and money to jumpstart my business, my dream. So we got married 2 days after we met. It was needed. She needed the legal stability. I needed the hooker connections, and it was nice. I love her to the ends of the earth, and I really do believe somewhere deep, deep, deep in my heart that she liked me. I I really really like to think that. I I mean, I'm not asking for much, I don't think, but I just she meant so much to me. It really kind of feels like it sometimes that all of our relationship was a lie. But sorry, silly me. I digress. Um, yeah, we, I opened the business 3 days after we met, so one day after our marriage. It was we had our honeymoon in Timbuktu. That's where I got the idea to open the shop. It was really quite lovely, and but she said it didn't have the right yard for a clothing business, so we couldn't. Um, I love her. I loved her. I said, sure, honey, you go for it. So we moved back to London, and I opened up my burger chain in Michigan. And so I know a lot of my friends were asking at the time, how do you plan to run our burger chain of strippers from London when it's in Washington? And this was when the really great thing happened to me. For my time in Timbuktu, they showed me this technology called virtual reality. And I figured if I had virtual reality, I could tell someone what to do in Michigan in virtual reality. So I put on my VR headset and I got um Catherine, I think her name was, I forget. Not very good with the names. To do as I said, to be my avatar, if you will. Everyone loved Catherine. Um, which was a really nice ego boost for me, weirdly enough. It felt like I was wanted, like I was needed, like people were smiled when I came into the room, which certainly didn't happen with my ex-wife, or my kids for that matter. But yeah, Catherine, she was nice. I never actually saw her face. I was always seeing from her face, as it were, which I guess is ironic and why she hated me. But I paid the big bills. It's how it is in this industry. So I've never been employed a day of my life, funny enough. Well, by myself and by my wife, as they say. But no, not legally. It actually hurts quite a bit on my tax return. Hard to make any fancy claims on that. It's part of the reasons we had to spend so much, part of the reasons that cost on this big industrial bug zapper hurt us so much as a business. So those damn maths, those damn maths. It wouldn't have happened without them. And yeah, so I was putting on my VR headset. I was ordering them around, and the business was going well. It was for a good few years. The business was really going splendidly. I had my money, I had my fame, I had my fortune. It was called Big Ben's Stripaholic was the name, and people loved it. They loved coming to my burger chain. I sold nothing but burgers, no fries, no salad, no. It was nothing but burgers, not even any inventive ones. And no, I hired normal waitresses. I don't want to whore out my hooker employees. Just because they're hookers doesn't mean that they deserve to be dehumanized like that. I'm not a monster. But the real blow was I was a good employer. All except of Catherine, who hated me, they all loved me. Loved me to death, I told you. I paid enough. I gave them dental. I gave them good optics. I gave them everything they could have wanted. They had a stable business. They still got to be a hooker on the side if they wanted. They got to. Joanne, she got to make her dream burger formula. It was amazing. She called it the Krabby Patty at one point, which I tried to sell, but it got me in big trouble with Nickelodeon. You can't do that shit apparently. It's really weird. But one day, a someone from our rival burger business, Little Tim's non-hookalolics. Um, yes, spelled like hookalolics. He made a typo and just went with it. Um, he he came in and he said, "Hey, hookers, there's a union going on here." They were like, "Wow, gee, that sounds great. That gives us more benefits." I encouraged them. That sounded like what they wanted to do. I was all for it. But what none of us realized, except little Tim, I'm imagining, was that this would actually ruin their contract with me. Because I was technically calling them strippers every day, and that wasn't allowed within the within the legislation of the union. And now this is where shit really went wrong. Um, the um the people from the union, they came down and they asked what was going on. They asked, "Look, your employee, he's calling you strippers. He can't be doing that. We're gonna have to kill him." And they were like, "Whoa!" Um, so then they went to me and they told me what was going on. But obviously, I'm still in London at this point. I haven't moved to Canada yet in the story. Um, so they go up to Catherine and they say, "Look, this is what's going on." And she tells me, and and then they see that they're answering to Catherine. So the people from the union, they go up to Catherine and they think she's the boss. Um, a lesbian that uses he him pronouns. Those hookers, they're all for it. A lot of them were lesbians actually. It was quite amazing. I learned a lot about that culture. Sometimes I do wish my mom had given birth to me as a girl. I think would have made my life a lot easier sometimes. But whatever. Some things can't do nothing about them. Just the way the world works. Cookie crumbles. Ah, yeah. But these HOA. So thankfully, turns out they were joking about the killing part because that would have sucked. But they did. So this wasn't legal either at the time, but they did tie her up and slather her feet with honey and set two goats loose on her. And now I didn't know this, but goats love honey, and they just kept on licking her feet over and over and for hours and hours. It was horrible. And the thing is, with this VR stuff, I hooked myself up to feel all the sensations that Joanne was feeling. And I think this is the reason why she hated me so much. Because everything that she felt when I was logged in was I could feel too. It was a complete violation. But I've got to do what I've got to do, you know. Got to make ends meet. So and the funny thing is, well, not so funny if you ask her, I'm sure. But I did forget to log out a lot of the time, so I would be sleeping, and she'd go up to get a cup of coffee in the morning, and I wouldn't be up yet because I don't have to get up until much later because my whole job thing being different time zones, and I'd feel her drinking. It was bizarre. I wouldn't get the caffeine, but at some point, placebo kicked in, and I felt like I got the caffeine. It was quite amazing, to be honest. Um, but yeah, it was. That's I think the reason, big reason why she hated me. But we live and we let live. But those those days, I lost count of how long it was. The goats were tickling her feet. It was torture, cause the manufacturer that gave me the um the VR suit, little Tim he was called, um insisted that I get really high resolution feet. He said that it was so that I should feel how she walks, because learn to walk a day in their shoes. That was his big selling point. That's kind of the reason why I bought it. But this salesman, little Tim, a little Tim. Hey, I wonder if that's a coincidence. Little Tim's stripaholics, and the little Tim merchant who gave me the high resolution feet. I want that. No, no, I think it couldn't be. That'd be insane. No, sorry. Mind my ramblings. A silly thought crossed my mind. Nothing on it. And yeah, so Catherine, she was, tied up, bound up, put for days on end. They barely fed her, um, in this machine. And sorry there. Um, and I hindsight, I probably could have taken the headset off at multiple points, but never crossed my mind. I think some latent repressed part of me was actually really enjoying it. That's what my therapist told me, at least. Well, to be fair, my therapist was also my drug dealer. But we live and we let live. It was weird. After he suspected that I was really enjoying the feet tickling thing, he started coming up to me and he said, "Hey, I have this new strand for you. It makes you really ticklish." And he'd bring out this big feather the size of his arm, and he'd say, "Coochie coochie coo," and I just run. I never actually talked to him after that. But he chased me down the street one time. It was scary. But yeah, so Catherine, the 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 jurisdiction of the union ruled that a funny name the union had actually was Little Tim and Jack's Union, whatever. Um, and the union ruled that this was the punishment for anyone that called their hooker employees hookers, strippers, whatever you want to call it. And well, they actually didn't mind the term stripper. Funny enough, it was only hooker, and if you spelled it with three O's, it was fine. It was only when he spelled it with two O's that it was a problem, and they couldn't. So there was a neat loophole when he said it out loud. They couldn't tell. You could just lie and said you said it with three O's, and they'd be that's fine. But I misspelled it once in an email. That was a real issue that they had with that, which is if you ask me, a bit bizarre. But what can you do? Um, and yeah, Joanne, she was tied up, and thankfully, um, she, not Joanne, Catherine. What am I talking about? Joanne got tied up later. That was for the tax evasion. That wasn't anything to do with me. She just told me that, called me up one day, said, "Hey, old friend, got tied up by those same goats. Jimmy and Carl, same ones." It's like, oh, small world. Torture goats are apparently a really rare breed, so kind of crazy that she got the same ones. But anyway, Catherine, yeah, she got tied up, but thankfully, um, she had her burger in her pocket, and the moths, um, they found her because in the time that the place was under investigation for where Catherine had gone, because she was deemed a missing person at this point, um, the moths had devoured every last burger we had, and they could still smell more of my sweet, delicious formula. So they hunted down Catherine in this basement, and they managed to worm their way in through the vents. And they got to her, and they ate the burger, and then with nothing else left to eat, they ate the honey, because what else were they gonna do? Um, and the goats, they got bored. There was no more honey to eat, so the goats let themselves out. The goats could use keys for some reason. I don't know how or why, but I saw it with my own two eyes through VR. They got up. There was no more honey left. They said, "All right, time to clock out." They wrote their names on the list with the time that they had done, got their paycheck, I presume. And they were on their way, which is, you know, honestly quite a marvel to see. They unlocked the door, but Catherine is free, and she managed to speak to the union members for the first time and said that, she was not the one to get. She was just an employee, and they were like, "Wow, we're really sorry. That's our bad. We should have checked, to be honest. We'll get Michelangelo to do that more next time." It kind of, he got bored of checking, to be fair. Can you blame him? He did it, what, 5 times? And they all turned out clean. The answer is fine. So he just kind of gave up. Don't really blame him, but I guess that is his job. This is why we pay him the most in the company, despite me being the CEO. But yeah, she was a weird one with that one. But they let Catherine go. And the funny thing is, Catherine did not know my name. She did not know where I lived. I just puppeteered her body and felt her sensations. It was a weird relationship, I tell you. But she didn't know how to identify me. The union members couldn't do anything against it. They tried setting a few wanted posters, but the government in the UK apparently really liked my burgers. So they let me go. Um, it doesn't mean I'm on the no-fly list for America. Um, but I mean, I wasn't planning on going anyway because that's where Catherine lives, and I'm pretty sure she wants to rip my throat out and use it as a burger patty, and then subsequently feed it to the mouse. Because that is the secret, actually. Joanne figured out that you have to use throats as the patty. Throats of cows as the patty. That's what the moths love, I think. But no, because we did some testing, and it wasn't just the throats. It was only when the burger was together. None of the individual parts caused it. And they could tell when a burger was there. We tried captivating the scent, and nope, it was when there was a burger. I don't know how they did it. They had some kind of sixth burger sense. It was kind of scary, to be honest. But yeah, you just kind of have to accept it. That's the business at this point. It's a moth eat moth world. Well, moth eat burger world. Moth eat me world. Um, so yeah, after the union thing and after Catherine got free, my burger giant was in shambles. The reputation was gone. But I'm still friends with a lot of the hookers. They're nice people. Um, and yeah, my wife left me after I fed out hot clothes to the moths. I got to become a god, but it was very much at a cost I couldn't have comprehended. Um, right, and then the story comes around with the kids. So when she was after she left me, after I led them out to her basement, big whoop, um, she went to my twin Jack's place. He's actually infertile because we used to play this game as kids where we'd kick each other in the balls as hard as we could and see who could take it. And I never told him, but my balls, they have this weird thing they can do where they actually retract back up into my body if they sense danger. So I'm never in that much pain. But apparently all that kicking made him infertile. So when Jack and my wife, my ex, were trying for a kid, I snuck into their apartment and I switched out the bottle of semen they were using to try and get a pregnancy that way. Um, I don't know why I did it. I was a bit hammered on moth juice. They make really good wine if you ferment them. It takes only like 2 months too. Um, you have to use some kind of red vinegar to do it faster. Apparently, it is a carcinogenic. It makes you really cancerous, but it works. So I don't know. And yeah, she never found out we're twins. They're my kids. Um, then, by some bizarre twist of fate, um, they tested both of Jack and my ex-wife, and they said, "Are we want to live with our uncle?" And my wife, she was furious. She was upset. She couldn't believe it. After all that, her kids wanted me. Neither could I, but I let them in, and it only lasted for about 23 years that they loved me, because then they realized that what I had been drinking wasn't beer, it was moth juice. And then they realized that I had, you know, done all those things to their mother. But they never found out that I was technically their biological dad. Probably should tell them. I think they blocked me. I don't know. But, I mean, I'm not sure what else there is to the story, really, that you want to know. I mean, to be honest, I kind of find it disrespectful that I've been in call this time telling you my whole life story. And you've both been on mute. You haven't uttered a word to me. It's demeaning, to be honest. But I mean, I'm sure you'll appreciate my life story. Um, and yeah, I mean, I've told you everything. I've taught you about Jack. I've taught you about Little Timmy. I've taught you about the Little Timmy Union. I've taught you about the Little Timmy and Jack unions. Sorry, wait. The and yeah, coincidence. Yeah, yeah. Told you about the Little Timmy and Jack union. I told you about my ex-wife, how she got into a car crash with this Jack, dude named Jack. I need to go. I need to leave now. Fuck. I need to make some calls. Hold on. I need to get my mouse. One sec. I'll be back.